Oh God, oh, it's me again. And now we're going to talk about The Woman in the Yard. The Woman in the Yard, the film that I think you guys haven't really seen about. Oh, you haven't heard that much about. I mean,
No.
I know nothing.
I saw a trailer for this one. I thought, oh, that's coming up. And then the next week I was like, oh, it's in the cinema. Well, I guess I'll go watch that. And full disclosure, the main reason I went to go watch that is because pretty much everybody in this film is black. And and I was like, yay, cool. We have like one of these horror movies and everything like that, but it's based on black people. And obviously, if everybody in the film is black, they can all die first, can they? So, so, that's why I went to watch this film. I also thought that there were some bits of this trailer that looked a bit atmospheric and everything. But as you were saying with Death of a Unicorn, where it's a bit flabby, and we are saying with Novocaine, where they don't really make it clear what the definition of is it pain or is it pain or is it feeling that he can't feel. There is a bit of that with this film. So the whole idea with this film is you meet a woman played by Danielle Deadwyler, and she has two children. They live in this farmhouse, this remote farmhouse. And when the film starts, it becomes very clear. It becomes clear quickly that she's recently lost her husband, and she's really lost her husband. As you go along, find out it was in a car accident, and she got injured, but she survived, but her husband didn't. And she is when you first meet her, she's lying in bed. Her kid is trying to get her attention. She doesn't seem to have like any compunction to get out of bed or anything like that. Doesn't really look like she's looking after her kids. Her kid's telling her, look, the electricity has gone out. We don't have any electricity. The dog food has run out. We're like, essentially, there is nothing in this house. We need to do something. And she won't let her kids do it. She says that I will do it, but then she refuses to do it. And at the beginning of the film, because the electricity has run out, her phone has no battery charge. Her son's phone is broken. They can't really contact anybody. And he's like, come on, we need to sort something out about this. Then all of a sudden, this woman, Sean has the poster in the background, but this woman dressed entirely in black with a veil on, just shows up sitting in a chair in the front yard. And it's like, there's a woman in the yard. She goes out, has a chat with this woman, and this woman is like, well, this woman seems to know things about her, knows about the fact that that she's like, well, my husband's indoors. She's like, well, your husband isn't indoors. It's like you're on crutches. There's a busted car in your front thing. Your husband isn't indoors, and it's like you've called me here. You've called me here. I'm here. Today is the day. And she just says the thing to her, today is the day. And so it carries on to be the kind of horror movie, and I think it's caught in between. It's not sure whether it wants to be like, the sort of almost sort of slasher being chased around a haunted house horror movie, or whether it wants to be that kind of, the elliptical, hang on, what the hell is going on?
Going on
This
Like the folk horror.
yeah, almost like a folklore, almost like the kind of horrors that feel a little bit like a horrible dream, almost like a David Lynchian thing, where you're like, hang on, what goes on there? If I go in there, oh, there's a mirror. Oh my god, I can go through the mirror. Now I'm on the other side of the mirror. Okay, which one is me? Which one isn't? That and it's caught in between where it isn't being either one of these things, and it's not. And I mean, when I finished watching the film, I made a note on my phone, and the note was clumsy and not clear. And those are two separate things. Like what it does in the film, it does some of it very quite clumsily, and it isn't clear what's going on. It isn't clear. Well, and there's a bit where they do some kind of like elliptical kind of like, oh, this happens and and this person's here now. And, we're gonna. And there's a scene that happens right at the beginning of the film that gets played again a couple of times throughout the film. And once they started that, and it's one of these films where the first line of the film kind of tells you a lot about what the film's going to go through. And I feel like it was kind of when someone rewrites it, I think they think, oh, this is really clever. But I'm not sure whether it's just the fact, and we find this often when we're doing this podcast because we watch many, many things, whether it's just because we've watched so many things that the second I heard that line, I was like, okay, cool. I know what film we're in for. I know what's going to happen now. And then, so this scene keeps coming back and it keeps coming back and it's supposed to be clever, but I just think it's clumsy and I don't think it nails what it's supposed to be going for. So there are some effects like the woman in the yard, she has this whole thing where if her shadow falls across something, her shadow is what can actually, affect things. Like there's bits there's bits in the trailer, for instance, where they have this wind chimes hanging outside the house, and then her shadow,
fair.
and then her shadow falls across the wind chimes, but her shadow falls across the shadow of the wind chimes. She hits the shadow of the wind chimes, and then the wind chimes tinkle. And so they do that trick, but it feels a little bit like, Sean, you're complaining about drone shots. It feels a little bit like they figured out how to do that one trick, and so they were like, let's use this trick again, and they just keep using the trick over and over again. There's a clever bit where they're trying to do something about shutting all the windows so that they don't get a shadow and all that. But it doesn't really hold together. And it is quite... I was a bit bored by the end of it. I was looking at the time. And when the film ends, the film does a thing at the end where I'm kind of like, I just went with it. Yeah, of course. That was my that was kind of like that was kind of like my overwhelming thing. Yeah, of course. I just kind of thought, yeah, it's this film is at most a low 3. It is at most a low 3, possibly a high 2. I just yeah. I mean, there are bits where they try and do something in there because even from the way the film starts. There's a lot of things that, so, okay, we're going to be talking about mental health here, and they're trying to do about mental. There's even a sign at the end of the film that says, if you're affected by any of these issues. And there's a bit to do with the end where you feel like, I just kind of knew what they were doing the whole way through. Or rather, I knew what they were trying to do, and I don't think that they always nailed it. So I would give this...
A low 3.
It's a low 3. It's a low 3.
Okay.
It's a low 3. It's a low 3. I think... In my heart, I think it's a 2, but I think a 2, a straight down the middle 2 is too harsh.
You're right.
And I wouldn't watch this film again. But yeah. Well, anyway, let's go away from that and let's go back to Netflix and Friends. And